What is going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be breaking down why Earthshaker has a 54% win rate, one of the strongest mid laners right now in the current patch, if you guys know how to play the Earthshaker. Now you guys might be wondering, well, Earthshaker's kit is pretty simple. The problem with Earthshaker is he isn't the greatest hero when it comes to being very effective on the map. You have to be good at him and you have to perfect how to roam with Earthshaker. It's not just casting a stun here and there, because you can easily grief your team and also not get enough farmer on the map if you get carried away trying to get kills constantly. And you can't always play around Echo Slam because it's a super long cooldown, so you need to keep this in mind. Learning how to play the Earthshaker is optimal in order for you guys to get the advantages of how strong he is this patch. Let's break down the facets. So everyone is using the Slugger facet, is pretty much going to increase the amount of damage you're going to do. I don't think the Echo Slam facet is that great. I think it just takes too long. I think if it gets a buff, it might be a little bit better, but as it is right now, not a whole lot of Earthshaker players are playing that unless you are solely playing off the Echo Slam. Other than that, it's not very useful, and the Slugger facet is much better, especially against heroes like Broodmother. You're going to have a really good time because once that unit dies, it does a lot of damage, so it is pretty important for you guys to have that. Against any illusion carry, pretty much, Earthshaker is going to be pretty good. The starting items you guys want to start with is Tagos, a Fairy, Fire, and 3 branches. That way you can get your bottle at a much faster pace, and then you get yourself a Null Talisman, Rush the Blink, and then eventually Aghanim Scepter, Daedalus, BKB, or Refresher. There's a lot of different builds people like to go, but typically the Blink is a must, and the Aghanim Scepter is pretty much a must every single game. Then you could kind of go for a different variation. You can go for Kai Assange or items of that nature that will increase your damage and sustain. So you can go for items like that that'll be quite beneficial for you. But overall, the hero just does a ton of damage when it comes to his Aghanim Scepter and Daedalus combo. But again, you can easily just jump into a team fight and be silenced. So it's very important that you guys are watching the amount of stuns the enemy team has, and keep in mind your counters. Heroes like Clockwork, Lion, Ogre, Venomancer, these heroes that can limit your ability to blink into a fight, or they have a lot of slows, heroes like Viper, are very tough for you to get a proper initiation on. And a big mistake I see a lot of Earthshaker players making is they're waiting for that wombo combo. They're waiting for that 5-man Echo Slam, and their opportunity to get a free pick off on a carry goes away. Don't be so greedy with the Echo Slam. Obviously, if it comes down to it, everybody wants to get a 5-man Echo Slam. It's absolutely fantastic, and it feels super rewarding and super fun to play a hero like Shaker and getting a 5-man Echo Slam and getting a Rampage. That's all super fun. When it comes to being effective on the map, getting a kill is more important than waiting for that wombo combo, because the opportunity might never present itself and you're going to be just there AFK doing absolutely nothing in the fight. So if you can get a good jump-in opportunity to get a high value target out of the game, then definitely go for it. Even if you have to blow your Echo Slam, it doesn't really matter. Your team is going to thank you for it. Let's break down some of the best neutral items you guys should be picking up on the Earthshaker. So the tier 1 neutral items, a Trusty Shovel comes in at number 1, with the Broom Handle at number 2, the Arcane Ring at number 3, and the Faded Brooch. So these are the most popular items being picked by all players according to Dota 2 Pro Tracker, and the Trusty Shovel makes a lot of sense. It is pretty good. Typically I like the Arcane Ring and the Broom Handle. Those are both very solid options for me, but overall most players are picking up the Trusty Shovel. For the tier 2, Specialist Array, Whispers of the Dread, Orb of Destruction, and Bullwhip, all these are really good. I like Whispers of the Dread. It is pretty solid and increases out your magic output, which is always going to be really good for your Echo Slam and your Fissure. It's always going to make sense to go for an item like that. And Specialist Array is also really solid, gives you some really good stats and tankability. For your tier 3 neutral items, you got Enchanted Quiver, Ceremonial Robe, Van Brace, and Nemesis Curse. Personally, I think Nemesis Curse is kind of like if you have nothing better to pick. Yes, you do a lot of damage, but you also take more damage, so I don't really like that. Even though you feel really tanky on the Shaker, he can be quite fragile and quite volatile when he jumps in. If he can get stun locked into Oblivion, you're not going to have a really good time. So preferably try and pick him into lineups that don't have a shit ton of control and stuns, because you are not going to have a good time and you're going to be forced to buy a BKB really early, and that's not something you want to do on the Earthshaker. And for the tier 4, it's Timeless Relic, Ninja Gear, Havoc Hammer, and Aesthetics Cap. Timeless Relic, obviously a fantastic neutral item, and if you can get it every single time, it's always going to make more sense. It's going to increase your damage output, which is the most important part of your kit. But also learning how to stun lock heroes is really important on the Earthshaker. It's not all about just clicking and mashing buttons. You need to know your timing and how long you should be using your stuns. That way you chain stun them and you're able to get a lot more pickoffs than you typically would just by casting random spells. And your skill build is going to be you max your Enchant Totem, 1 point in Fissure, and then you max your Aftershock. It's really important that you get 1 point in Fissure. That way you can lock a target, or maybe you're able to stun them into a wall and just jump in and take care of them quickly. And that's also going to help you with the stun lock. So if there's a hero that can easily get a away from you, heroes like Ember Spirit, Void Spirit that can just jump away. This fissure is going to help you out along with your enchant totem and your echo slam. All these stuns are going to help you secure the kill much easier, and having a value point is always going to be really good. Now let's break down some of the best and worst matchups for the Earthshaker. Some of the best are Mars, Phantom Lancer, Broodmother, Terrorblade, Naga Siren, Ember Spirit. These matchups you're really good up against heroes like Enigma as well, just because of the Eidolons. Any hero that spawns a lot of units you're going to have a good time with thanks to your echo slam, and with your Slugger Facet you don't really have to wait for the echo slam, you just need to kill the creep and you're going to be clearing out through illusions a lot easier. So it is really good to counter illusion heroes, as it's always been. Even before the Slugger Facet, Earthshaker has always been a beast at countering illusion heroes, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem as they're not really in meta. There isn't a whole lot of people playing illusion carries, so you shouldn't really be too concerned about that. But heroes like Broodmother and Terrorblade are pretty popular right now in the meta, so you should counter them, as well as Enigma with all his Eidolons is pretty prevalent in the meta as well, so you can counter these heroes quite easily. Some of the bad matchups are Alchemist, Clockwork, Draw Ranger, Lion, Crystal Maiden, and Shadow Shaman. Basically any hero that either does way too much damage and has silences, heroes like Ricky as well, or Drow with Gust. But heroes like Clockwork, Alchemist, these heroes are all going to be really good up against you, and they're very difficult matchups. Clockwork especially just doesn't let you live, and if you're in lane against the Clockwork, you're not going to be having a really good time, and it can feel really sucky to go up against that hero. Same with Lion, you lose all your mana, you're getting stunned into oblivion, and you can be caught pretty much midair and shackled or stunned by the Lion. And Shadow Shaman's also a really good hero against the Earthshaker. He can easily ruin your entire initiation and stun lock you into oblivion, forcing you to either get your BKB if you could get BKB off, or pretty much die in the fight without really doing much. So definitely keep in mind your matchups, as they're super crucial on the Earthshaker, and practice the Earthshaker as much as you can, especially if you're trying to play core Earthshaker, which is pretty much the most popular way to play him. You should keep in mind on how to play it, what your power timings are, and how you guys should be more effective around the map, and try and farm as much as you can. Earthshaker, as everyone believes, is not really a hero that wants to constantly keep roaming around the map making things happen from the mid lane. You kind of want to play around your echo slam because you don't really farm that fast, so you really need to be in the lane for a little bit, try and get your items. Once you have blink, it's pretty much go time, but as you're farming out that Aghanim Scepter, you don't really want to constantly be around the map. You want to take some stacks here and there, some lane farm, maybe join a fight if you're close by, but try and be a little bit greedier when it comes to your farm, as I've seen a lot of Shakers making the mistake that they just don't farm enough, and then when they lose a couple of fights, they've pretty much lost the entire game, and it feels really brutal. When I was learning how to play this hero, it definitely happened to me quite a bit, where I'd tunnel vision on the kills, and then I'd lose a few fights, and then I felt like I could never come back from the game, as I did not have the space to farm, and it really felt really shitty. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about Earthshaker. I think you should give the hero a try and practice him from the mid lane. He's definitely one of the most solid mid laners out there right now, obviously with a really strong win rate. You can play him as position 4 or off lane as well. I have seen some carry Earthshaker, but that's more for absolute specialist players. Other than that, I don't recommend carry Earthshaker. I don't think it's that great, but mid lane, off lane, and soft support is pretty much the best way to go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, leave a like and comment what you guys would like to see next. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.